Hello, everybody. How is it this morning? Going well? Yeah, I was out there over there. I thought this was some kind of rave. There was just so much excitement out there. I'm Kenny Shue. I wrote the book An Inconvenient Minority and my new book, School of Woke. Yeah. So, but most importantly, I am a YAF alumnus, and I was at your seat just a few years ago, and as president of my Davidson College chapter, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be on the front lines, and I'm here to tell you 10 tactics to win any debate and seize any opportunity to convince somebody. Sounds ambitious? Sounds like a plan? Great. I'm so excited to be invited here, and my goal is to be invited back. All right. I'm just going to play this with sound. Okay, well, that's what I hear. That's what you should be hearing. All right, well, if there's no sounds, that's what you should hear. How many of y'all saw that debate? How many of y'all saw that excuse of a debate? Thank you. Joe Biden mumbled his way through the debate and went down to calling Trump, "You're a loser. You're the sucker." That is what American debate has devolved to in our country today. But anybody who saw the debate actually saw something important. A debate is important. Debating with people is important, and it is impactful. In this case, we saw Biden for who he truly is, a half shell of a man. And anyone who knows debates knows how impactful debates are, and we need more of them. And we need you to stand up and be the debating leaders to help America to get back to a country where we can make debates great again. And I have had the privilege of actively participating in some of the most consequential debates in American society over the past few years, including the debate that forced Harvard at the Supreme Court to stop discriminating against Asian Americans in the name of increasing racial diversity at their school. How many of y'all are Asian? You can thank me later. I have to say, if you're not a good debater, debating sucks. I admit it. But if you are a good debater, nobody wants to debate with you. So I was not a good debater. My debating sucked, but as I got better at debate, I had to actively seek out ways to find and participate in debates with the other side. And I found that at Young America's Foundation, where I became an alumnus, and which provided for me the best foundation I ever had with the smartest people that I ever knew, you guys, to debate with the peers on critical issues of our country. But I had to get there. You know, I was actually a bad debater in high school. I made a ton of mistakes, and I don't want you to make them when you're talking with your political opponents/friends. I thought that my job as a debater was to emotionally dominate the opponent and intimidate the judge or the audience. I had not yet mastered the art of the effectiveness of mixing logic and humor and radical truth-telling and defiance. And I believe that if you're going to be a good debater, which really means just being a good convincer, you're going to need all of those tools in the toolbox, especially when you're debating from a side that the mainstream media loves to put down. So how did I become passionate about debate? Well, I was a good evangelical. So how many of y'all belong to some aspect of the evangelical Christian church? So if you're good evangelical, you know that your main task is to win converts to Christ. And I was tasked with winning converts for Christ in Princeton, New Jersey, That's right, one of the most liberal and atheist areas in America. In a time when the most popular movements in America was about promoting, during my time, and I think during your time too, promoting LGBTQ and hating God. They consolidated all of this into the trans activism that we have today in our schools. But it started off when I was in school. Back in 2013, 2014, the genderqueer movement was on a huge rise, and obviously it conflicted directly with the beliefs of Christianity. And that's part of the reason why they did it. So I had to assume at my liberal atheist school the most persuasive role that I could be. I was trained and bred by fire. I started a prayer group at my school that was also a Christian debating society. But I invited everybody. I invited Jews, I invited liberals, I invited atheists to lunch with us. And I told them about my position based on the historical evidence of what Christ was, and I let them talk about it. And I let them make their arguments. And yeah, I got a few converts, and I'm proud of that. And I only said checkmate atheists once or twice. But it allowed me to experience the passion of winning a debate, of fighting and winning and clawing your way up from nothing. And I have a few thoughts for you in whatever debate that you try to engage in, public debate, political, religious, anything, to take charge and bring people to listen to you, and not just listen to you, but to win them to your side. You ready? You ready?
Yeah!
Okay, I was barely hearing you there. Look, here are the 10 tactics. I'll just put them out right here, take a picture of it, and that's the end of my... Here are the 10 tactics to being your best debater that you could possibly be based on the ideas and the experience that I have. And I've never shown this presentation to anyone. But anyway, tactic number one, be your own Trump. I mean that sincerely. Look, people, I did not say be Trump. I did not say dye your hair orange. I did not say create your own reality show called The Apprentice and tell everybody that they're fired. But I mean to say be your own greatest person. Be the most yourself you could possibly be, to the point of comedy. Do not attempt to be like your favorite debater or your favorite personality. You have to be your favorite debater, with your own principles, styles, and annoying traits. Ben Shapiro talks fast and makes people dizzy, especially old people. Donald Trump is the professional lib triggerer, and I am a dashing gentleman. But you have to be the most yourself. Whoever you are. If you talk fast, talk fast. If you talk slow, talk slow. If you're good with emotions, be good with emotions. Because there is greatness to be found in every personality. Do not try to emulate somebody. Be your own person. Be the most person that you can be. Because there's greatness to be found in every personality except Hillary Clinton. Number 2. You have to depersonalize your criticism. So I mean both depersonalize the naysayers against you and depersonalize your own criticism of the other side. What do I mean by this? I mean, if you do your job and you focus your argument on the issue and not the person, then you will always come out looking better than the person who attempts to subject you to the criticism in order to get their position across. The left's job is to personalize. That's what the left does. The left personalizes. They make things personal. They target. They position you as hateful or hypocritical to win what they think is the popular battle for so-called hearts and minds. Saul Alinsky, one of the preeminent leftist intellectuals. How many of y'all know who Saul Alinsky is? That is a good amount for high school, I'm telling y'all. One of the preeminent minds, leftist minds, wrote that the way to win cause for the left is to personalize your opponents, to target your opponents, and to intimidate your opponents. And they do this all the time. The left does this all the time. I remember when I was at college, at Davidson College, there was a guy named Nicholas Trevino, who I still remember. He was 2 years ahead of me, and I was just getting started in my conservative activism at Young America's Foundation. He was 2 years ahead of me, and he starts posting nasty things about me on the internet. He starts criticizing me in public, and I don't know this guy at all. So I actually arranged to meet with him. I say, hey, buddy, I know it doesn't seem you like me very much. Want to get tea or something? I said, do you want to talk? And he said, why don't we get tea? So he invited me to tea. And I said, hey, buddy, I don't know who you are, but you seem to really be obsessed with me. That's what I wish I said. And he said, but I will never forget what he said to me, because he's this leftist organizer. I never forget what he said to me. He said, I don't mind you at all. Your personality is fine. I just don't like what you stand for. So he knows and he acknowledges the honesty that what he's doing is not personal to him. He just makes it personal because that's the left's tactic. That's how they do things. So if somebody is personal against you, don't take it personally. Number 3, don't let them bait you into saying that something is a contradiction when it's not a contradiction. So the left does this tactic a lot. They will say, so you believe in freedom, but you don't believe in the freedom of a woman to get an abortion. And the purpose of this is to get you to admit to them. It's a power move. To admit to them that you are contradicting yourself. But you're not contradicting yourself. The two principles can live in harmony. You can stand for maximum freedom of the individual when that individual exists, when that individual lives. You don't have to weaken your position where it is not actually weak. Say to them back, I believe in freedom. I believe that people should have the ability to make their own choices. But in order to have freedom, you have to exist. You have to have life. I believe there's a hierarchy. My freedom stops at the point where you are threatening somebody's life, which is something that most people agree with you. And then there, you have exposed the non-contradiction of their attempt to get you to make a contradiction. Something that happened to me when I was debating affirmative action on the public square, when I was on CNN, when I was debating with leftist professors at law schools. They say, you don't support affirmative action, so you hate black people. And I say, I have nothing against anybody of any race. I think that if black people get into college based on their merits, they're going to do a better job, and society's going to be better. We have a lot of colleges out there, colleges for different places in different periods. If you are really good at your place, you can transfer to another college. If you are good at something, you can do this. But if you're a hardworking Asian American or hardworking white American, and you see a whole bunch of people get into school with much less lower SAT scores and much less lower grades than you, what does that stoke in you? Is that good for society? When people are clearly being preferred over other people for characteristics that have nothing to do with how hard they work? It has nothing to do with race. And so, oh, you don't support affirmative action, but you hate black people. Really looks like a fool of themselves. They really look like a fool of themselves because once you say that, you realize that you are actually doing the pro-black position, but because you're doing the pro-American position. Number 4, when you have real evidence, use it. Because real evidence is in short supply. I mean this sincerely. The more you dig, the more you go, the more you realize that people really don't have evidence for their arguments anymore. So just ask them, where's the evidence? And most of the time, they will not be able to give you real evidence. But when you have real evidence, you have power. When the Supreme Court handed down the case that charged Harvard University with illegal discrimination against Asian Americans, I was brought to CNN in front of host Abby Phillip to defend their decision. We sparred a bit, and then she said, I can't see how Harvard lowered standards to admit more black Americans. Why don't we just watch this? We can't watch this. Anyway, that's me. Maybe. I don't know. I really wish so. Okay. Any help from tech? It's okay. It's all right. Whoa. Can everyone chant, get it up, get it up, get it up. Hey, good. All right. Okay. That's all right. Yeah, I'll just talk about it. And then you can go on YouTube and you can watch this video because it's extraordinarily based. So we spar a bit. She says some things without evidence. I provide the evidence. And then she says, well, I can't see how Harvard lowered standards to admit more black Americans, and then attempted to end the show. Like, she actually attempted to get me off of the show. But before she could, I interrupted her, and I said, that's not true. They did lower standards, and I have the evidence to prove it. Asians had to score 250 points higher on the SAT just to have the same chance of admission as a black person. They are being admitted preferentially, and there is a lowering of standards. And I got that across at the end of the CNN interview, and she said, thank you very much, and cut off the show. That is the power of real evidence. If you could just turn down something, there's like some volume issues. Just turn it down here. Yeah, I hear some ringing. Okay. We will get it up again. So she said, thank you very much, and she cut off the show. So that's the power of real evidence. The point of what I'm trying to say here is that when you have real evidence, use it, because real evidence is really hard to find. Because I used actual evidence, I was able to expose her baselessness quickly and easily. And she grew defensive, and she cut off the show, and she cut me off. And the only thing, her last resort was a raw appeal to power, the power to shut me off the interview because she controlled the interview because she was CNN. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is appeal to emotion infrequently, and we'll get it back up. But number 5 is appeal to emotion infrequently. You know what gets me emotionally excited? What gets me emotionally excited is a good argument. And I think one of the most common mistakes that politicians will make, a politician will make is that they will make an obsequious appeal to emotion. They will make an appeal to emotion that makes them sound in their eyes like they're sympathetic with the people, when it's so obvious to our eyes that they care nothing about us. So take Mitt Romney, the worst offender of this. I watched his debate with Barack Obama in 2012. And in 2012, when Barack Obama was up here, Mitt Romney was up here, and they asked him to give his opening statement, and they asked him to give his opening statement about the economy. And he goes into this line where he says, and I just think about how much I care about the American people because I was shaking hands with a voter in Dayton, Ohio. Of course, it has to be Dayton, Ohio, or Western Pennsylvania, about how he lost his job. But he talked in such a way that made it very clear that he knew nothing about what his situation actually was. And so basically, it created a boo-hoo situation. Boo-hoo. And the story did nothing to ensure me that Mitt Romney had any relationship to this person at all or cared anything about what he felt. Now, when Mitt Romney talks about business, when he talks about taxes, that's stuff that he knows, and he should stick to that. He's a much better debater when he sticks to facts about the economy, policies, and he should stick to that. So especially if you're not a good emotional person, you can lose it. Appeal to emotion infrequently. Okay, number 6 is show humility and empathy. Now, this is not the same as making an appeal to emotion, but to show true humility shows that the debate is not about yourself. It's about what you stand for. Is the TV going to come on again?
You can. It's just going to be feeding back again. It's going to be ringing.
But it wasn't ringing before.
You want to try that? Leave it.
Just turn down the volume. All right, thank you. That's good. Okay, so back on track. Once I get this back up.
You can do it. And then once I go, that's it.
Okay, good. All right, good. Here I am. Okay, number 6. Thank you. So number 6 is show humility and empathy. Now, this is not the same thing as making an appeal to emotion, but showing humility shows that you know that the debate is not about yourself. It's always best when you are talking with somebody to not give the impression to them that you know everything or that this debate is about you winning. But it's about what you stand for, because what you stand for is what you believe is going to help everybody. And empathy really trains you to think about others. One of the reasons why we were able to win the debate against Harvard on affirmative action was because we were able to make an empathetic argument. And the empathetic argument is Harvard will love to talk about, well, look at all of these black people, Hispanic people, that if they didn't get into their dream college would be rejected and I guess casted on the street and left homeless or something. But I was able to make, from a very real perspective, the corresponding argument. And I was saying, well, what about the Asians? What about them? They worked hard. They studied really hard to get those scores. They have their dream college too. And they get rejected in favor of people who have 270 points lower on those scores. When everybody knows that you need to get good scores to get into college, and the Asians actually did it, and now you're just going to punish them for it? And so what I was able to do was that in a place where nobody empathized with Asian Americans, I was getting them to empathize with Asian Americans. And if you know anything about liberals, they love a good cry story. So I was able to show a group empathy. And by showing the group empathy, I was able to win the debate. Or we were able to win the debate, excuse me. Okay. Number 7. Number 7 is there is no moderate middle. I want you to get out the impression that there is some center existence. There is some center position out there that is somehow a combination of the left's perspective and the right's perspective, but it's just watered down a bit. That's not how it works. And you guys are lucky, actually, because when I was your age, I always felt pressure to appeal to some center that was really some non-existent position. And what happened between the time that I grew up and the time that you guys are growing up is that Donald Trump erased that pressure. He showed the non-existence of the moderate middle. And that the idea of this moderate middle was actually largely invented by CNN to tell people that their left-wing position is actually the position of most Americans. The truth is that there is no moderate middle. And if you're an independent, I want to qualify that by saying there are independents. There are plenty of independents. And I've met a lot of independents because I ran for Congress in North Carolina. But if you're an independent, you're actually just as likely to believe that both sides are full of ignorant crooks and disingenuous crooks. And you're probably right. So if you're an independent, it doesn't mean you're a moderate. It means you're looking for a real, authentic character to believe in. And you can be that person. Even though you're arguing, quote unquote, for the right, what you're really doing is you're arguing for common sense. So be that person. Which leads me to 8. You got it. No worries. Number 8 is, which leads me to position 8, which is, number 8 is make your stupid argument. Make your stupid argument. I get the lack of confidence that you feel being on a high school campus where your professors and enemies tell you that your words don't have merit, that you are stupid for having your position that you do. They'll probably tell you this, just like my professor told me when I first pitched her the idea that I'm writing a book about how Asian Americans deserve the places that they get in and more. And my professor told me, no one's going to care. No one's going to care about how Asians get rejected from college, Kenny. In that case, if I believed her and I just said, well, she's right, I'll never talk about this again, you might as well never speak again. You might as well never talk again. In the end, people are going to call you stupid, but if it makes sense to you and it agrees with the principles of logic and it's not a contradiction, make your stupid argument. If you think it might be offensive, make your stupid argument. Because you will probably suffer consequences for saying something offensive. But guess what? If you suffer the consequences of speaking out, that means you know what it's truly like to speak out. And if you suffer right now, you will become a better person. You will become a better debater. That negative experience, just like the negative experiences that I had to go through, made me a better debater because it taught me that there are consequences to my words. So you might as well make your stupid argument. Number 9. Number 9 is talk to girls. So this one's pretty funny because it's directed at my male friends, but it's actually for both genders. It's about courage, and it's about humility and courage, and it's about all of that rolled into one. And I know that my male friends probably believe that a woman is a paragon of chaos because you'll never know if she'll actually like you. But here's the thing. If you never try, you'll never know. And ultimately, these are what the manosphere podcasters are trying to teach you. Some better than others. But ultimately, they're trying to teach you, whoever's hot right now, I don't know. Whoever's and it better not be Andrew Tate. Whoever's hot right now is trying to teach you to go out and seize your opportunity. That's what they're trying to teach you. And if you boil down all of their weird tactics and everything, that's the point of what they're trying to teach you. And I cannot tell you just how much pushing yourself to be at the right place at the right time matters in this world. Because Thomas Edison once said that opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work. You have to be your own champion, because if there is one trait that matters the most in debate, it's confidence. It's confidence. And if you want to get confidence, you might as well talk to your crush and try and fail and get up again and do it again with a different girl. That's my girlfriend, Mackenzie. Yeah. In case you didn't know. Number 10, finally, retreat, but never surrender. Don't give up. You don't know how unbelievably this world and America needs you. We desperately need you. We desperately need the true leaders, the warriors, the people who can think and who can speak clearly and speak to common sense. We need you. But you're fighting forces you can't even dream about. That's why we need you. We need you so much because it's so hard. You need a break sometime here and there. I get it. Take a vacation to Maine or Charleston. Enjoy your life. Enjoy the company of your friends here at Young America's Foundation. We don't remember the ones who spend their whole lives working for themselves and giving to themselves. We remember the people who spend their whole lives sacrificing for others. And if you're going to be a good debater, if you're going to be a good, basically public servant at this point, convincing people, then you're going to face harsh realities and you're going to give up a lot of things because you are making a real stand. So fight for it. Fight against the left's corrupt, farcical conception of justice. Fight against their anti-life agenda. Fight for your values, whatever they are. There is no higher calling, nor any more solemn duty than to protect and to save America. And I guarantee you, if you do it and if you apply yourself, you are doing the highest calling you could possibly do. You're the vanguard of tomorrow, and I thank you for it. Thank you.
Okay, in your second argument, you said depersonalize your arguments. And I was wondering, if the left does it, is it effective? And why should you not personalize your arguments?
Because society's perception of the left, when the left wins, the left usually wins because they are considered the more grounded and real and empathetic person. So the left has an incentive to make arguments based on empathy and to make personal arguments, make you look like you are out of touch or out of reality. But when the right wins, the right usually wins because they are able to position themselves as more logical, as more rational, and more based in the hard reality of facts, even if those facts are a little harsh. So we're debating from a right-of-center perspective. It's their duty to make us look bad, and it's our duty to present the facts as they are. Because as long as you do that, you will win the debate, because Americans and everybody, they have two sides of their brain.
Reagan O'Hara from Golden West High School in Visalia, California. The great Thomas Sowell was once asked, if you could say one thing to Obama's cabinet, what would it be? And his response was basically nothing. They're a lost cause. My question for you is, when you're debating someone and you're giving them all the information and you're putting together a good argument, when do you know when to stop? And I'm not saying like it's someone you're close to and you care about them. Obviously, you don't stop caring and fighting for what you believe in. But when is it a waste of time?
Well, it depends on actually the thing that you said, which is how close to you they are. If they're really close to you, the answer is never. But you can conclude the conversation. I would say if somebody is getting irritated, then you should probably stop. It's hard. As I've said, convincing somebody, especially on the other side, is hard. Don't make it harder on yourself by getting irritated that they're irritated. If they're irritated, they probably have some worldview or some roadblock that you just haven't gotten through yet. But if you haven't gotten through yet and you're presenting your best self, that means that you're doing the possibly best you can. So don't blame yourself for it.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Torres from Hyattsville, Maryland, and I'm homeschooled there. Mm-hmm. My question is, if Trump inspired you to not believe in the moderate middle, what do you think about him moderating on positions such as abortion for his 2024 campaign? And do you think that's a smart position to take for him?
No, I don't think that Trump's position is smart. In America, we've reached a conclusion where you either believe in abortion freely or you don't believe in abortion at all and you want to stop abortion. What America has actually diverged to is actually logical. It's actually logical that we've arrived here because for a while the whole mission of the right was to end Roe v. Wade, but we've done that. And so now we are actually engaged in this public debate, and if Trump is appealing to a non-existent position, like the average American that I've talked to either believes, no, you're taking out a woman's freedom to choose, and also it's not a life, it's just a clump of cells, or believes it's an actual life and it's murder. The average American does not believe, no American actually believes, no individual person actually believes it's not a life until 12 weeks and then it is a life after 12 weeks. So if you're going to take a position on abortion, take it and take it hard. And Trump lost a lot. I think he lost some significant support from that.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is CJ McCarter, and I go to a public high school around 10 minutes from Cal Berkeley. So you can imagine how it is out here. And I'm in a speech and debate class. So my big issue with that is when I present facts in a debate, because my teacher picks like extremely divisive topics on purpose, a lot of times the left just doesn't want to listen to it or acknowledge it. So how would you say I present facts in a way that they kind of have to acknowledge them?
I would say use the 10 tactics that I told you. Debate is an art; it's not a science. You have to get better with practice. I guess one example that I can point out. So, it was the height of George Floyd. It was the height of BLM, and I was talking with this black woman who was in my church about BLM, and I said something like. We were actually having a pretty good conversation because she was like, I don't think that we should defund the police. And I was like, so all of these people were saying defund the police, like you don't agree with them. She's like, yeah, I don't agree with them. But then I actually said something like, yeah, and I believe that America's justice system is actually the greatest justice system we ever had in the world. And that she got really offended by what I said. She refused to talk to me for another 3 months or so, 4 months, despite my best efforts to try to say, look, I get it, there are problems. In the end, if a person is willing to stake their friendship on you and which is, by the way, another tactic of the left, to say you're my friend until you disagree with me. If they're willing to stake your friendship on you for something that you said offhand and something that you said in a way that didn't necessarily massage everything about them, then it's not worth it to go after them. You have to go after the people that can be convinced, and I think that if you're making your argument the best way that you can, then you're going to convince the most people that you possibly can in that moment.
Thank you. Please give us more Riz tips, too.
What?
More Riz tips.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, one final question.
Hi, my name is Abby Rose Goldman. I homeschool on Long Island, New York. I love to debate, and in my co-ops we do numerous debates about all different topics. And I know many people who are sometimes uncomfortable with debating on a side that they don't personally agree with. And I was wondering what you would say to them who are forced in their educational environment to debate on a side that is not their own.
I would say do it. Debate the left side. Be the best. When you are debating the left side, be the best leftist you possibly can be, because it's going to make you the best conservative that you can possibly be. The problem is not that conservatives don't get access to the left's education. We certainly do. We get ample access to that. The problem is that the leftists never get access to the conservative education, and that's why groups like Young America's Foundation have to come about. I would say taking the left's position is important, because a good leftist, like a morally good leftist, they're trying to speak to principles of fairness and justice. And a good conservative that would interrogate the left's framework would have to speak to how those principles and justice are enacted in real life and whether they actually produce the results that they claim that they want to produce. So keep going.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's give Kenny one more round of applause. Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.